Hey, what's going on, everybody? Before I start this video, I am the father of Jason L. Cooper, the young man that she's talking about that got killed by Charleston PD December. It's about this 2 days from now, he would have been turning 30 years old. And the whole problem that we having, and we've been having, I did several Freedom of Information Acts to get Bridgeview Apartments, that's the name of the housing complex that it took place. I know it as Bayside. It's a 360-degree camera that sits on a pole that would have got the whole story, the whole true story, not what Charleston PD put out, because they put out edited body camera footage. The problem we have is the first officer on the scene, because my son was armed. He's not innocent in that sense. My whole thing is, and my family's whole thing is, did he deserve to die? And I can answer that honestly and say, no, he didn't, because I look at the incident that happened right after, maybe 3 months after, with a white young man shooting it out with the police, and they wounded him. But we all know there's a difference when you're talking about men of color doing something. They shoot first and ask questions later. And it was a domestic dispute between him and his girlfriend at the time. She called 911. But our whole thing is I can't make my son into an innocent person, because the domestic violence thing is something serious, and I don't take that lightly in any way. But did he deserve to die? No. And they claim transparency in Charleston PD, but that's not the case at all, because the Bridgeview camera would have told everything. Supposedly the first officer that encountered my son didn't have on his body cam, they didn't have dashboard cam. And I just ran across this video with this young lady, Charleston Activist Network, and I got to thank her for what she did. I saw how old it was. I just ran across it today. It's being 2 days away from my son's, would have been his 30th birthday. So I thank her for doing this for me. And the reason I'm on here today is to try to get help in getting Scarlett Wilson, because the SLED's telling me and the Charleston PD telling me I have to get the Bridgeview camera footage from Scarlett Wilson, the Ninth Circuit solicitor, which doesn't make any sense. She dismissed the case, but the public and the family, we never got to see what really transpired. Only their narrated story as she said. And I want to thank this young lady. That's why I came on here live to thank her. I will find a way to contact her through her Instagram and all her information on here. But the story, the real reason I'm on here is because when your child has a record, I put this out to all the parents. When your child has a record and they get into trouble, the police officers will depict them, their past, their criminal activity, as that's the way your child is. Now, if it's one of their counterparts, you won't hear the same story. Like a mass shooter, they go back and tell you they got mental problems, this, that, and the third, and they try to depict them to be somewhat decriminalized, so you have sympathy for them. But when it's a black child committing a crime or doing anything involving where they die at the hands of an officer or the police department, they always depict the children as a villain. But once again, let me say this: domestic violence I take in no shape or form not serious. But I need you to understand, I rather saw my son be going to see my son in 2 days in prison than going to see him at his gravesite, especially at the hands of those who are supposed to protect and serve, because they don't believe in negotiations, none of that stuff. And you had an incident that happened in the same neighborhood prior to my son getting murdered, where the same thing happened. So transparency is what we after in the Charleston police, and the real story, not their narrated story. And once again, I got to say thank you to Charleston Activist Network. And y'all go check her out and watch this video and contact me, inbox me, whatever, with any questions if y'all want to know. I'm going to start putting it out, breaking down my son's story to let y'all know what we trying to find out. Thank y'all, man.
And but there's so much news. Thank you, Meg. There's so much news that broke, so I just wanted to create this content, and folks can engage with it when and how they can.